It's an absolute pleasure to be here today to feed back to the whole of the network gathered here on behalf of the North East Atlantic group of geological surveys. I can say on behalf of the forefathers and foremothers of the group that we're delighted to see you reaching this milestone today and this whole week in this conference. As Dermot has said, I am a colleague from the British Geological Survey based in Belfast. So all of the Belfast office is staffed by British Geological Survey, and we work under contract for government there. And we also work increasingly with European networks as and where we can. Okay, so the origins of the COST network were within Nag City. And in fact, 5 years to this month, there was a proposal put to the Nag directors before my time to investigate the possibility of looking much closer to urban geoscience, the possibilities of bringing together a core group to target funding and to pursue that. And of course the blessing was given, and within 2 months you had passed your first proposal, was accepted, and the full submission went in July. And then within 6 months you've had approval for your full funding, and Dermot in fact presented the project to Brussels in September 2012. I understand then the operations began in April of the following year. So 5 years, and what a lot has been achieved in that time. And this is just, I suppose, some of the name dropping of the original core group, but we're delighted to see the network now extends to exceed 30, including non-European members from Bangkok, the Russian Federation and Bangladesh. And I suppose this week is really a metaphor for the project, in that all of you gathered here, I suppose what makes us different in the age of artificial intelligence is our creativity, and particularly that of geologists and engineers. And this really represents a coming together, a meeting of minds, and an attempt to engage on a common denominator to move forward. So it really is one of the biggest successes from this network is that collaboration, which not a lot of other interdisciplinary groups can claim. So along with obviously the geological survey organisations, the various research organisations, all the civic partners, be they officials or planners or engineers, this is really what this network represents. And so as well as a knowledge exchange together in the subsurface and the surface, there's also bringing that then to the public domain, and to try and incentivise the uptake and extending the network beyond the reaches of today's room. And we look forward to hearing some more of the case studies from the various countries over the coming days, all of the methodologies. It's almost like an a la carte restaurant, depending on where your country is relative to this escalator. You can basically pick and choose your menu and multiple bits. You can have a starter, main course, go straight to dessert, depending on how well you are engaged with your civic society. And I suppose this is really to congratulate all of you on all the achievements of the last 5 years. We look forward to the NAG directors look forward to a readout from this event, and hopefully Hans and Dermot will help me do that, and we will ensure that all of the headlines and all of the impediments or challenges and proposals for taking this forward will go to the NAG directors on the 5th of April, actually to be precise, in Iceland, to see how they will support taking forward the next era. So this is really just to complement the meeting of minds from all of the disciplines and all the various sectors that have come together to produce some of the wonderful abstracts that you have for this week. And as I said, one of the biggest components of the project is communication. And it's not just dissemination. Dissemination is in every research project, we all know that. And what you have done, I think, even just today by streaming the conference, by the way in which you visualised, I mean, the bike model is absolutely wonderful, and the public really get that. Currently, I think we're on a tandem in Belfast. There's only somebody in the back seat. But anyway, not to worry, we're going to work on that. But you know, all of those visualizations are very powerful. They transcend language, they transcend disciplines, and generally the primary decision makers are either lawyers, accountants, or councillors who have no technical background. So it's your ability to get across that burning platform and the rationale why this is a good idea and to set the vision for the future. I suppose taking things a bit closer to home, it's no secret that Belfast is a post-conflict city. So we're emerging from 30 years of strife, but things are looking up. We have a population. The country in its entirety, Northern Ireland, has about 1.7 million in its population, and about 355,000 of those live in the main city. So a third of that population is under 30 years old. So we have a responsibility to provide a future plan for that new generation. Certainly for Belfast, it's very, very important indeed. In fact, a generation who has now lived with no memory of troubles, which is tremendous, and they're much more ambitious and they're much more outward facing than any generation to date. We've been voted Europe's most business friendly city. We've been voted by the Financial Times as in the global top 10 in terms of hosting a major conference or event. Just setting my trail there for future cause network meetings. And just this year, the Titanic has been voted the #1 visitor attraction in the world. So the National Geographic sees us as a city that's trying to redefine itself. So that's all very positive from what was a very dark history. However, there are certainly some very concrete underlying issues which need to be addressed. And as a result of 30 years of conflict, we have an ageing infrastructure. We have an administration who's still coming to terms with running a country that is still marked by socioeconomic deprivation, where there are segregation on the basis of religion. And all the while, the climate is changing all around us. I'm not sure if everyone has noticed yet, but currently our main railway, 2 national hospitals, power stations, and our airport are all within the flooding zone along the coast. So if there ever was a burning platform for a call to action, that list is certainly that. And so that's the backdrop that Belfast is working in. And just this year, or in the last 6 months, it has been added to the Rockefeller 100 lists of cities to basically to build its resilience. So it's identifying the underlying issues and the impediments to it growing to where it wants to be, and to try and build the capacity to take it forward, bringing together the expertise in this room and beyond in order to do that. So we have been working, I have to say, holding on to the coattails of our colleagues in BGS, and over the last 5 years we have been building a Belfast 3D model, and as we speak our staff are attributing that model with physical properties and hydrogeological properties. And having said that, whilst we have brought this to the attention of the civic forum, our next stage really is to work shoulder to shoulder and to try and bring that into their I suppose, future strategic plan. So it's we really want to make sure that it's much more bespoke, and it's all very well having a 3D model, and if no one's using it. Okay, so some of our challenges, based on some of the work of colleagues, Stephanie Bricker and et al. And Helen, data discoverability is a big issue. Even just the impediment of planners using GIS, amazing, it's an issue. Integrating the data, obviously being able to use GIS would solve the data integration problem. Having user-specific case studies, taking account of obviously surface models and the interaction of both, and like yourselves, we've been working with architects in the universities in an attempt to do that, but currently it's literally one on top of the other, and the connection is where we need to work. And we're working on building relationships with the council, the councillors and the elected representatives, the planners, the strategic planners, the directors of city centre development, and those responsible for future cities and smart cities. And digital data, again, going back to the Dutch model, making it mandatory that that data is supplied as part of the procurement contracts and law. So we're sort of trying to cherry pick some of the nice examples of our Dutch colleagues. So I suppose this is an image of City Hall, and it represents the centre of civic decisions in the city. And all of this is happening in the backdrop of one, a brand new programme for government, which will see what Northern Ireland delivers over the next 3 years. Two, a transfer of planning powers to all of the councils, all 11, one of which is Belfast. So over the last year, they've been coming to terms with, you know, you've asked for your cake, now you have to basically eat it and manage the swell of opposition from your citizens. And to try and cherry pick some of the lovely examples, we would like to implement the ASK network, and we've already establishing the bones of a core group to do that. We have got support of our colleagues in central government to add the AGS into the procurement policy, and we will work with other centres of procurement to do that. And we will also, over the next 3 years, we will be reviewing the legislation that establishes the Geological Survey. So we will make it mandatory. That, and we'll have some teeth to basically to bring that data in. So the idea is, as the Geological Survey organisations here, that we're really a catalyst for change, that as well as being an archivist, you know, but pushing the data out, making it accessible and being a metaphor for change. So Dermot touched on this in his introduction. NAG is very much future orientated, it's very much 4D orientated, it's very much, you know, geological data on time, in time. So our friends, the meteorologists, the public can get that because it changes, it's daily, it's hourly, it's weekly. They're hungry for real-time data. They don't want to talk about 300 million years, they want to talk about now. And why not? And so very much focused on instrumentation, the research infrastructure that will then underpin the modelling and the surface interactions, and then having the real-time data on what is the aspirations for a dashboard for the city. So you can see your energy uses, you can see your groundwater abstraction, and then begin to manage that. So as Gillian mentioned on the bus, you know, sort of your red, amber, greens, and your not only opportunity mapping, but your Belfast calls it growth mapping. So to use this data in order to inform your new strategy. So as with all geological surveys, we have ground source heat potential data, we have abandoned mines, the potential for deep geothermal, soil chemistry, particularly in the urban area, obviously with an industrial legacy, that is a potential issue. The brownfield site challenge, opening that up. Subsidence, so whilst we're all advocating groundwater abstraction, it comes with another problem. We have our own leaning tower, Pisa, with the Sleech in Belfast, so there's a bit of that going on, and it's trying to manage the relationship with the engineers and the geologists, because of course they want to continue drilling wells. Why wouldn't you if you're paid to? For cost even? No, we don't want any of that. So it's just trying to show that there's a mutual benefit. Groundwater vulnerability and resources, of course, and then building not only the city models but the national. We have a responsibility for a national geological model. So it's very much real-time data. So I suppose just to bring it to conclusion, Belfast itself is charting a new course. So it literally, this next month in April, it will appoint a new Chief Resilience Officer. I know there are some lovely examples in the room where you've had this established in the past. And that person will be tasked with incentivising working in collaboration, with data discovery, with making that data accessible and to integrate it. The infrastructure, which is severely challenged because it's basically, I suppose, Victorian and maybe some in the 1960s. And the integration of planning, that, you know, there isn't the silos within planning as there is within other parts of government. And mobility in terms of not only transport but social mobility, and then of course 4G, 5G, you know, almost human right basically of data. And of course, as you would expect, their responsibility is to manage risk and to protect their citizens. So just to give you an example, the other day we had dinner with some of the architect professors, and one of their student submission was a post-flooded Belfast, where they have all these oil platforms in the Belfast Lock, where all the population moves to because the whole, and you have to go in a glass bottom boat to see the Giant's Causeway. So that's the kind of, you know, they're looking at 2050. We may laugh now. So I suppose we would just, on behalf of NAG, we would like to congratulate the network, and we really look forward to hearing more of your achievements and to implementing some of the toolboxes and methodologies in the future. And thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you for this.